Seconds felt like hours. The officer then opened the car's trunk and suddenly started firing at me out of a fight or flight response.
When I was a junior in high school, I had to take an emergency trip to the bathroom.
Oh.
My stomach was really upset. I definitely had some sort of stomach bug going on.
Oh, I got one of these stories.
As I was dashing through the hallway, trying to make it to the bathroom in time, I started to hear a whistling sound that was coming from the other side of the hallway. As I got closer to the bathroom, I realized that whoever was whistling was in the bathroom. I didn't think much of it, other than that it was a slight inconvenience for me, as I was wanting the bathroom all to myself, considering I was literally going to blow the toilet up. I ran to the stall and did my business uncomfortably. The entire time, that man that I barely even saw, might I add, stayed in the bathroom. I must have been in there for like 10 minutes at this point, and there's no telling how long he would have been in there beforehand. I started to think that it was probably the school janitor, but I really wanted him to leave for obvious reasons. I wanted some privacy. The whole time he was whistling and humming while I was mitts going number 2.
Oh.
Gross, I know, but this is what happened.
Nothing worse when you're number 2 in it.
After I finished up in the stall, I walked out to wash my hands real quickly, all while trying not to make eye contact with the man that was in the bathroom with me, as I was kind of embarrassed.
You don't want to make eye contact with that one.
I also had to hurry back to class because if I were to be gone for too long, it's very well possible I could have gotten into some trouble. Then what happened next threw me off guard completely. The janitor then started walking over towards my direction, and he stopped after being no more than a foot away from me. He was so close that I could feel him breathing on me. I felt a tingle on the back of my neck, and I was so uncomfortable that I had no other option other than to look at him.
Punch you in your mouth, man.
What the heck, man? I said.
You good?
He had this stone-cold look on his face, and then shortly after, he gave me this extremely disturbing-looking smile that I will never forget.
Dolphin teeth. Oh, no.
I made my way back to class, and I was puzzled.
Cheddar cheese.
All I could think was that guy was crazy.
His teeth is very cheesy.
I texted my friend about it when I got back to class, and he told me how he had a similar situation with that guy, the same exact janitor. He told me he knew he was a creep too, so we planned on talking to the principal about him that day, but we never ended up following through with that. After school, me and that same friend I was just talking about, LOIS, and another one of our close friends, Peyton, all decided to walk after school. That was something that we did a lot. Usually we would go to nearby restaurants or fast food chains, or even the park. We did all kinds of stuff after school, and usually it was the most fun we would ever have. This day, we decided we were going to go to this diner that we all loved. We had to walk through this trail that started on school grounds and opened back up in a nearby neighborhood in order to get to this restaurant.
I enjoy trail mix.
Well, we didn't have to take that way, but it was definitely quicker and a way more fun route, so 90% of the days we walked after school, we would take the trails. Elias and I started talking about that creepy janitor, and Peyton started to chime in as well. He knew the janitor that we were talking about, but he never had an experience with him. We were telling Peyton just how creepy that guy was, and he started to understand.
Did he show you his gooch?
I kid you not, though. It was like us talking about him. The janitor spawned him there or something.
Word?
Not literally, but it was like crazily ironic and weird. Up in the distance, we noticed that there was a man ahead. No way, Peyton said. Dude, isn't that him? The janitor from school? We all stood in fear and confusingly looked at him until we could all make out that it was him for 100% certainty.
Punch him right in the holes in his teeth.
Hey, let's turn around, Peyton said. I didn't even say anything to that. I just continued moving forward, as did Elias. As we were walking past him, he then stopped and stared at us, but we kept walking. The janitor then yelled for us and asked if we would like to hang out.
What?
Okay, so not only was this man a janitor at our school and supposed to be an authority figure, but he was really a creep.
I had this happen to me, yep.
He also had to have been at least 55 years old. Why the heck would he want to hang out with a bunch of kids our age for?
Yup,
We just ignored him and we picked up our pace a little bit. But he then started jogging towards us, and it was at this point that we started to full-on run.
You better call Skee's handsome.
He then began screaming at us, and when I looked back, I saw that he had a knife in one of his hands.
Damn.
We all screamed for help and ran for at least 5 minutes, and shortly after that, we seemed to have lost him. We later found out about who he really was the next day at school. Me, Elias, and Peyton, and our parents all went up to the school and reported the situation to the police and to the principal. It turned out that the school had no idea who this man was and that he wasn't a school janitor. He was a man pretending to be a janitor.
Really?
I don't know how he got away with this, like getting inside the school and all without being detected for so long.
He cleaned for free.
It's quite ridiculous and scary if you ask me. They really need to double down on security because school is supposed to be a safe place for kids to learn. It turned out that the man was a convicted sex offender as well, and that he has been abusing minors for years now.
Ooh.
He also had a court order to where he had to stay a certain distance away from kids, but that didn't stop him.
Ew.
I personally think he was going to take it a step further this time and try to kill one of us.
Bro,
Some people are so messed up in the head, I can't even begin to comprehend.
That's hella weird.
It was just another normal day of school. I think I was in 10th grade. I want to say it was right after third hour. Anyways, it was lunchtime, so my friends and I were goofing off like we always would.
Your friend drawn ugly?
We would all eat for maybe 5 minutes and spend the rest of the 20 minutes playing games and messing around and such.
I thought they were snorting
Well,
coke.
about halfway through lunch, the PA went off and said that we were having an emergency lockdown, which was definitely kind of scary.
Lockdown. This is an emergency alert. Please follow
Oh, they're
lockdown
doing a freak
procedures.
nick?
Go into the
A
nearest
lockdown
room or
is when they
building,
lock the
door
classroom
turn
and
off
everybody
all
in there
lights.
gets to dance to
Because
music.
usually, if it
They
were
go on
just a
field
drill,
trip.
then the principal would say that, or at least warn us before so we knew to expect a lockdown in the near future. I vividly remember Mr. Harrison sounding a bit panicked when he announced the lockdown too. My friends kind of thought that was part of his gig to make it seem real, but I had a bad feeling about it. Now, this is probably the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life, and I still honestly have no clue why we did this, but after they shut the school's power off, my friends thought it would be funny to sneak out of the cafeteria through a side entrance that led upstairs to one of the main hallways of our school. I decided to tag along with them just because. I'm not really sure, I just did. After walking around for a little bit, we all split up, and at this point it was only me and Andrew. Our 3 other friends ventured off by themselves somewhere. It was so dark in the hallways that we could barely even see what was in front of us.
Word.
The only source of light we had was coming from the sun shining through the windows.
Sun can be
But even
good.
then, it was a pretty cloudy day, so the outside didn't have much light to offer us.
Oh.
Then out of nowhere, we heard 3 gunshots right in a row,
Oh,
followed
hell
by
no.
screaming.
Oh no. Ooh.
Andrew and I, of course, started freaking out, so we ran outside and sprinted as fast as we could.
Yup, gotta get up out of that one.
I'm happy we were close to the main entrance of the
that
school
how y'all
because I'd
run?
much rather have been outside than hiding in a bathroom or something. But now we were in the front of the school, and we knew we were sitting ducks for any of the teachers or police to find us.
Yup, they about to quack y'all ass.
We didn't want to get in trouble for sneaking off when we shouldn't have been, so we ran behind the school and headed straight for the woods.
Yup.
We had to run across the soccer field to get there, but we made it across without being seen.
That shit look like Zelda.
Then we heard police sirens getting closer. I knew they were there for whoever the hell just fired the gun, but we were still paranoid that the school or police were looking for us for running off as well.
You going to jail now?
I've had friends who have gotten into some trouble for truancy before, and I was definitely on edge about everything that was happening in general, as any normal person would be.
I like that word, truancy.
This was a pretty serious situation, so we were freaking out for a while, and we were trying to calm each other down.
Y'all freaking out.
We also didn't want the police or anyone to think we had anything to do with that psycho with a gun. Well, the police weren't searching for us, and they literally had no idea we were missing in the first place, nor did anyone in the school. But we pushed our luck by continuing hiding because eventually the police found us as they were doing a required sweep around the premises. The police ended up finding us, and when they did, they detained us until they caught the actual suspect they were looking for. Apparently, the kid who let off the gunshots was someone who went to a whole different school, and he was only a year younger than me.
He was a kid?
Nobody got hurt, thankfully, but the kid said he was coming to kill some girl specifically, but he failed. Something weird I want to add real quick is how eerily similar me and this kid look. We are both the same height, same color hair, and hairstyle, and we were dressed very similar that day.
That was you.
The police
Man.
quickly figured out I had nothing to do with it though after we explained everything. I learned my lesson that day for sure.
No more ditching school.
This took place on my very last day of high school. I was on my senior year, so after I got through today, it would be the very end of high school for me.
A big ass high school. This
Of
is
course,
like
I was super
prison.
excited, and I felt a huge amount of relief, but there was also a sadness in the air for me that day.
Sad for what?
Because all it really meant was that I was going to have to leave all my friends behind and have to make new ones in college. I tried to not look at it so negatively, because ultimately it is what it is, and it's just a part of life, you know, changes. I don't remember exactly why or what happened, but I was in a particularly bad mood this day because of things that were going on at home with my family. I think it was 5th hour, which was biology class. I didn't mind the class really, but the teacher was the one that made it horrible. Mr. Johnson was a jerk to me and many of the other kids in my class. I honestly don't know how he hadn't been fired sooner. He was notorious for getting into it with the kids and getting into screaming matches. One time he even broke a kid's phone, and another time he legit threatened me in front of the whole class. I don't think he works there as a teacher anymore, but I really didn't feel like going to his class that day, so I skipped it. I went over to the library, and my plan was to lay low until 6th hour. I hid in the back of the library in the computer section and pretended like I was doing my schoolwork, but really I was playing games on my phone the entire time. Not too long after this, all of a sudden, the school's intercom went off. We were having a lockdown. Although I will admit it alarmed me, I figured it was just a practice drill and that our school was just testing us again.
I've had lockdown drills.
Our school does at least 2 practice drills each semester, so I played it risky and decided to hang tight. But all of a sudden, I heard screaming down the hall. It was very muffled sounding and I couldn't make out what was being said. All I could hear was the screaming. It seemed to have gone on for a couple of minutes. I quickly started to realize that we were probably in a real lockdown. I panicked and I thought my best bet was to hide somewhere in the library, so I hid under the computer desks.
Yeah, computer desk pretty good.
Not the best spot, I know, but I figured it was better than nothing. I kept quiet and waited for the PA to come back on and for it to say the drill was over with, but it never did. It must have been 20 minutes of me just lying there in fear. I took my phone out at one point and I saw that I had like 20 plus messages from some of my classmates from biology, and they asked where I was and that we were in a real lockdown. That was when my heart dropped to my stomach and I started to feel sick. I told them all I was safe and that I was hiding in the library. There was nobody else in the library with me as far as I knew, because there weren't any teachers or kids when I first walked in, which was actually quite unusual. Nonetheless, it freaked me out even more that I was pretty much alone. I just kept waiting in hopes that it was all going to be over soon. Well, it was only just the beginning. I didn't know what I had really got myself into by skipping class. A few more minutes passed by and the screaming picked back up again, and then shortly after, I heard someone running through the hall. Then my worst fear came alive. The library door opened and somebody was walking inside.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
As scared as I was, I managed to peek my head up to see if I could see who it was. But all I could see was a dark shadow of someone that looked like to be around my height. I hid back under the desk, and that was when I saw a flashlight turn on. Whoever it was began searching all around. All I can remember is praying to God that I was going to be okay. Eventually, the person made their way over to the cubicle I was in by all the computers. I knew it was only a matter of seconds before he were to see me, so I jumped out from under the desk again and made myself visible.
Say peekaboo.
"Hey," I said. Within a second, I had a flashlight pointing at me
And
along with a gun.
Good job.
"Tyler? What the hell are you doing, man?" I asked. Tyler was one of my close friends in middle school, but we didn't keep up with each other much ever since starting high school.
You went postal.
Through the years, we kind of had a falling out and went our separate ways. Anyways, I told him to put the gun down, and after almost a full minute of silence from him, he started to break down crying and dropped to the floor. I kicked the gun away and reassured him that it was going to be okay. And I told him that we needed to do the right thing and that he needed to turn himself in if he really wanted any chances of getting better. Surprisingly, he actually listened to me, and I walked with him towards the office until we found a teacher, and the teacher then led us to the police. I, as a witness, told him everything that I knew, and Tyler also complied 100% as well. I'm just happy that Tyler found me rather than someone else.
You gonna stay friends
I was one of
with
Tyler's only friends in his eyes, and if he would have found someone else, I'm sure he would have killed them truthfully. We really need to raise awareness for this kind of stuff and do everything as a society that we can to limit the violence in school shootings specifically.
That's wild.
As much as I don't like Tyler for what he did, he was a kid who was bullied and picked on his whole life, and had a horrible home life along with different types of mental illnesses, I'm sure. So really, it's no surprise if you think about it, what he attempted to do. That's usually how it goes down. It's deafening and unbelievably horrible that some people are capable of doing things like this. And that's to say the least. But we really need to do our best to prevent them from happening in the first place.
Yeah, I went through a lot of all of that. You know, home life was terrifying.
As a busy mother of 3 living on a tight budget, the Walmart near my house is the most convenient and affordable option for my grocery shopping. The staff there is generally very nice and helpful, and I've never had any problems there, except for a few quality issues with meat and produce. Unfortunately, I've had to take a break from shopping there. I hope I can go back soon, but only time will tell. I had an encounter at Walmart that destroyed the feeling of security I used to have there. It started out like a normal shopping trip, which I do about once a week. As usual, while I was grabbing a cart, I said hello to the greeter, and we had a brief conversation. Since I go there so regularly, he recognizes me every time. He's a sweet old man, but other than that, we were both just going about our business. That day, however, I noticed something strange over his shoulder. Or rather, someone. In the open seating area of the subway at the front of the store, I saw a man staring at us, eating a sandwich while he sat facing the entrance. Even at a glance, I could tell something was weird about it. The greeter asked me if something was wrong, but I said I was fine and moved on. I thought it would be better to just get out of his eyesight and let him look at all the other people entering and exiting the store. I started my process of getting groceries, which after all these years of doing it every week, I've got it down to a system that keeps me from doing any backtracking and discourages me from getting lost in the areas where I might be tempted to buy things I don't need. For a while, I didn't notice anything obviously out of the ordinary, but at several instances, I did get the feeling I was being watched. I kept looking over my shoulder, but I never saw anyone looking at me. Still, I was getting pretty on edge, so I hurried up to get out of the store faster. The last thing I needed to get were some pellets for my son's pellet rifle. While I was looking for the right kind of pellets, with one glance to the side, my suspicions were confirmed. At the end of the sporting goods aisle, a man was standing perfectly still and staring directly at me. It was the same man that stared me down from the subway. Upon this closer look, it was even more obvious that there was something wrong with him. His clothes were filthy, and he had this terrifying look in his eyes. I immediately turned the other way and headed for checkout. Every time I looked behind me, he was still following me. I got in line and was lucky enough to basically get right up to the cashier. The man following me grabbed a drink from a cooler and got in line to check out with the register next to me. Unsurprisingly, he got done before me and waited in the subway. When I was finished, I tried telling the cashier about him so they could maybe get the manager to do something about him. But they basically shooed me away so they could work through the line that had developed behind me. So instead, as I was leaving the store, I talked to the greeter. I pointed the stalker out and asked him to stall him for as long as he could. Then, I hurried out of the store to where my car was parked in the lot. I packed my groceries into the trunk as quickly as I could, but I wasn't fast enough. The stalker came running up to me and cornered me into the trunk of my car, where he began harassing me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I needed to tell you how beautiful you are.
Thanks, but, I'm married. Please, go away.
Yep.
Oh no, no way.
Yep.
Not before I see if your feet are as beautiful as the rest of you.
Oh boy.
What? No! Stay away from me!
Come on, just let me get a quick pic of your feet, that's all.
Does that really happen?
What? No!
Feet.
Stay away from me! Ew!
That's what you wanted?
You're not getting any pictures of me, you sick
Feet?
pervert!
Feet
Stop
pictures?
being such a prude. All you gotta do is take off your shoes.
Feet pictures?
Hell no! Somebody help me!
Fine, I'll do it for you. That's when he tried to rip off my shoes.
Damn,
I tried to kick him away, but every
homie.
time my shoe connected with his
Homie,
face,
feet-
he seemed to
homie,
enjoy
feet
it,
crazy,
making me
bro.
much more crazed. For some reason, nobody in the parking lot came over to do anything about my
Hell
screaming.
nah,
It wasn't that hard for my shoes to come
no
off.
toe sucking
And then my socks.
situation.
Once I was barefoot, the creep took out his phone and took a picture of my feet.
Oh.
I thought it would be over then. At that point,
Yup.
I let him get that far
Started
out of a
sucking
mixture of
feet.
shock and fear.
Sucking
but then,
feet. Yeah.
He took it even further. He grabbed my foot and lifted it up to his nose. He took a deep whiff, but it didn't even end there.
Yo, I can't.
Oh, yeah. Your feet smell so good, lady. Let me get a taste, too.
What? No. No. Oh, shit.
What the hell?
As soon as his tongue touched my toe, my other foot acted out of pure instinct and kicked him square in the eye.
Yep, there
He
it is.
released me and fell back onto the ground.
Run for your life.
He looked up at me with surprise and a bit of fear. I guess at that moment he decided he had enough, because he got up and ran off.
Damn,
Only
toes.
after the threat had passed did someone come up and offer help, and it turned out to be the greeter. Apparently, after stalling the creep for just a second, the poor old man got shoved to the ground as the creep ran out to catch up to me. Thankfully, he wasn't hurt. But at his age, a fall like that could have been serious. We called the police and I reported what happened. When the Walmart manager reviewed the store security footage per police request, they were able to confirm that the creep had been stalking me all over the store. It's for that reason I don't know if I could ever go back to Walmart. I certainly miss the prices and the convenience, but I'll never forget what I experienced in that parking lot.
Feed.
According to Reddit user u/Suavecore, an apparent Walmart employee responding to a thread in the Walmart subreddit, the craziest thing that ever happened in their store happened about a year ago in 2023. The stalking of a woman in her mid-40s by a man in his early 20s originated inside the store. The stalker was seen on security footage following the woman around the store and waiting for her in the subway while she checked out. As she left the store, she was followed to her car. According to what the woman told the police, the man told her that she was beautiful and talked with her for a few seconds before suddenly ripping her shoes off and
This
smelling
really
her feet,
happened?
while the woman held onto the car in shock. Shortly after, he fled to his car and drove away. The Reddit user alluded to the fact that the man lives a few hours away in the same state, which would imply that he has been identified. But unfortunately, there's no information about whether or not he's been arrested and charged for the incident. I've been shopping at Walmart for 25 years, and I never experienced anything crazy.
I can't do that. This is fucking my sinuses up, bro.
I think if this happened to anyone without the sort of training I got from the military, it could have ended much worse. At the beginning of spring, when the temperature started going back up, this guy in front of my local Walmart started selling water bottles out of a cooler for $1. I saw him outside the entrance every time I went shopping for a few months. I could never tell if he was homeless or not, but I always assumed he was. It never bothered me since I don't work at Walmart and I don't have any reason to care. But I never bought anything from him. I know it's going to be hot outside when I leave the house. I bring water with me. Simple as that. When I went shopping last week, he was there just like usual. He seemed a little agitated that day and was being pushier than usual. As I walked up to the door, he singled me out and stepped out in front of me, trying to get me to buy water. I refused and tried to walk around him, but he continued to block me from entering the store, and he became even more aggressive with his tactics. Come on, you're telling me a big husky boy like you isn't thirsty in this heat? Buy a water, man, it's ice cold.
I'm gonna rob you, bro.
And you think insulting me is going to work? Back off, I'm not buying. What's your problem, man? I'm trying to help you out and you're yelling in my face? Just ask someone else, dude. I'm done with this. Eventually, I walked past him and got into the store. But he followed me inside, continuing to shout at me to buy a bottle of water.
Damn.
An employee at the front of the store quickly confronted him. They argued for a moment, but eventually the man finally let it go and left. I had a long grocery list as I usually do, so I wanted to get through it. My first item on the list was canned food. The aisle wasn't far from the entrance, and it didn't take me long to get there. I stopped my cart and reached down to grab the green beans on the lower shelf, when all of a sudden, someone hit me in the back of the head. I was completely caught off guard. By the time I could even turn around, I had already been hit several times. The attacker hit me right in my eyes.
Getting beat up by
I was so disoriented that I couldn't even tell how many people there were,
Ain't you
or
black?
who they were. It felt like I was being jumped by 3 or 4 people. I tried to step back and make space, but they stayed right on me the whole time. I finally put up my defenses and got my first good look at my attacker. It was that same man from before.
Man.
He kept punching me in the face.
Who do you think it was
I
gonna be?
pushed him back, only for him to rush forward and grab me by the arm and keep hitting me. I fought back by punching him in the chin several times, but somehow he was unfazed. I couldn't escape his hold on me, so I reached into my pocket for my knife. I pulled it out and put it to his throat, demanding he let me go. He grabbed it instead. We fought over the knife, trading blows with our other hands.
You are a horrible
When
fighter,
both
bro.
of our hands were grabbing at the handle, he resorted to kicking me in the groin. Due to the shock of the pain, my focus on the knife slipped for a moment, and that's when he grabbed it. I staggered
You
back,
can't fight to
trying to
save
make
your life.
space. The attacker paused, smirking with success. For a moment, time slowed to a crawl. The threat to my life had just been severely intensified. I got my bearings on my surroundings, noticing for the
prepared to
first time
suck
that we were
meat.
actually surrounded by a crowd of people. But instead of doing anything to help me, they had taken out their phones and were filming. I had no time to feel injustice, though. The attacker lunged at me, thrusting the knife through the air. Just then, an old muscle memory came back to me. A piece of CQC training from boot camp when I was 18 years old. 25 years later, I used it for the first time in a real-life scenario. I quickly blocked the rushing attack and disarmed the man as he tried to stab me, grabbing a hold of it myself. My muscle memory also led me to stab the man twice without even thinking about it. Luckily, I only hit his arms. He shouted in pain and tripped over himself, collapsing to the ground. I stood there in a queasy state, wondering if he was going to get up and come at me, wondering if I would have to stab him again. Thankfully, when he got to his feet, he turned around and ran right out of the store. Nobody tried to stop him, and I didn't go after him. I was pretty shaken up, both by the attack itself and with what I had proven myself to be capable of so automatically. Some people finally came up to me, and after talking with them for a while, I felt mostly normal again. A bit later, the police showed up, as well as a news crew. I gave my statements to the police and then figured I should agree to do an interview with the reporters while the memory was fresh. This wasn't the way I envisioned I'd be on the news if I ever did. And one of the strangest things to me is that after everything, at the end of the day, I still needed to get groceries. When I returned to shopping, I had to go back to the exact same spot where it happened, right in front of the can of green beans. As I reached down to grab them, I had a flashback to the fight. At the time, I didn't realize he was saying anything, but suddenly I remembered him screaming about something. It was the reason why he was attacking me. His cooler full of water had been stolen while he was in the store with me, and somehow he blamed me for it. He was trying to punch my teeth in for stealing his cooler. I really don't understand this world.
Yeah, I've had a lot worse. That was actually real?
On June 14th, 2024, a man named Lonnie Blanzett was attacked while shopping at Walmart in Shreve City, Louisiana. Blanzett gave a detailed account of the ensuing battle to local news reporters, in which he describes being absolutely surprised by the attack. As he struggled to make sense of what was going on and defend himself, the Blanzett turned to two weapons on his person. We chose not to depict the struggle over the first weapon here on YouTube, but it follows the same line of events as the second. The attacker was able to take the knife out of Blanzett's hands, but luckily he was able to regain possession of it. At which point he stabbed his attacker twice. The attacker then fled the store. Blanzett remarked that there were onlookers filming him fighting for his life, instead of doing anything to help him. Despite this, no footage of the fight was able to be found. Apparently that's just the sort of thing people like to keep in their camera roll and look back on every once in a while.
Damn. That's wild.
4 years ago, I was a regular shopper at Walmart. In March of 2020, when the virus was starting to get out of control, and everyone was worried about it becoming a full-blown apocalypse, I decided it was a good time to stock up on supplies. I put on my mask and walked into Walmart with a couple $100 to spare, and I was immediately caught off guard by the pandemonium I had just stepped into. Don't get me wrong, trips to Walmart in daytime have never been relaxing, but I'd never seen so much desperation and panic before. People were scurrying around like rats, loading up on huge amounts of everything they could get their hands on. And ironically, the store was packed, but only half of the people in there were wearing masks. Taking one of the last remaining carts, I started combing through the aisles and picking up everything on my list. I couldn't afford to get heaps of stuff, so I spread out my budget to the bare necessities. Batteries, shelf-stable food, water, that sort of thing. And yes, I was only able to get a single small pack of one-ply toilet paper because that was all that was left. Aside from the general atmosphere of the store being in historical turmoil, there was one other unusual event I clearly remember. I was in the canned foods aisle. Naturally, there were quite a few other people in there. Everybody was in their own world, grabbing what they could with tunnel vision. However, one guy was out of place. He didn't have a card or a mask. He wasn't even carrying anything. But he was standing at the end of the aisle just a few feet from me. As I picked up a can of beans, I saw him smile like a creep out of the corner of my eye. I glanced over and he looked away. Then he walked off, quietly laughing. At the time, I figured he was just some nutjob in denial of the whole situation, getting some kick out of watching everyone scramble for resources. Maybe he was amused by me in particular, wearing a mask meant for a doctor while I grasped intently for the cheapest can of beans in Walmart. I even laughed at myself a little bit too. There was something morbidly entertaining about those times. Acknowledging that helped me get through it all. Regardless, I quickly forgot about him and went about my business. I finished up my shopping and went home. I put all my stuff away and then sat down on the couch. Foolishly, I forgot to wash my hands until a few minutes later, but by then I was pretty sure I already touched my face. Oh well, I thought. The next day, I was sicker than I'd ever been in my life. I didn't need a test to know what I had. That disease felt unlike any sickness I had ever experienced. Within hours, I was too weak to walk. I was overcome with fever and chills. By nightfall, I was coughing horribly. When I wasn't coughing, I was trying to breathe with what felt like a bowling ball on my chest. The next morning, after a fitful sleep, I began vomiting. I threw up everything I had in my stomach. Then I dry heaved until it was time to turn around and dump everything out the other end too. I struggled to keep down a sip of water, much less a bite of food. Luckily, I didn't live alone, but it wasn't like I had a loving wife to take care of me. I had a roommate on the other side of my apartment. We quarantined ourselves to our respective rooms, but it didn't stop him from catching it too. For some reason, however, the strange nature of the disease meant that his case was far less severe. He described it as a mild flu, which he was able to recover from in just a few days. I, on the other hand, was bedridden for a week. My roommate helped me with a few things, mostly just checking in on me periodically to make sure I didn't need to go to the hospital. Eventually, I did start to feel better. My fever was gone and I could eat again, albeit slowly. It seemed like my body had defeated the virus. Unfortunately, it took another week for my body to fully recover from the damage that had been done. 15 days after contracting the virus, I finally felt back to my old self. I waited another week before going out as recommended, but that was easy to do because of everything I had bought before getting sick. Although, after about another week, I needed to go out and get a few things. Once again, I put on my mask and headed over to Walmart. I didn't need to stock up on as much as I did last time, so it was a much shorter trip. Also, by then, the lockdown was in full effect, so barely anyone was in the store. I'd run out of all my canned foods, so that was one of the things I needed. I didn't expect to see anyone when I entered the canned food aisle, but I never would have guessed in a million years what I saw in that moment. The same man who I caught staring at me 3 weeks prior was standing right where I stood in that interaction. He was holding a can of beans up to his mouth, licking it all over. I stopped and stared in shock, watching in absolute disbelief. This wasn't just some little lick. It was a full-on makeout session, a showcase in canned cunnilingus. This persisted for several torturous seconds before the creep finally noticed me.
What? Are you afraid of a little cold?
You disgusting freak! Overcome with rage, I grabbed a can and chucked it at his face. It nailed him in the side of his head as he tried to block it. Then I grabbed another can, and that sent him running. I didn't chase after him. Obviously, I didn't want to be anywhere near him. Nobody had been around for the interaction, but I reported him to the management. After reviewing the security footage, they said they'd look into it. But then, they banned me for assaulting a customer and damaging merchandise. Needless to say, I haven't shopped at Walmart since. Later, I found out that sicko had been licking items in Walmart for weeks. Somehow, nobody in the store noticed. What's more, he was actively posting himself in the act on social media. It apparently took dozens of reports to police to get them to arrest him. But eventually, they finally did. I can't say 100% that he's the reason I got so sick. On March 11, 2020, a 26-year-old man in Missouri named Cody Lee Feister posted a video of himself licking deodorants in Walmart, poking fun at anyone who would be concerned about the potential consequences. Weeks later, after numerous calls from local residents, and even calls from the other side of the world, police finally arrested Feister. One has to wonder how many other items he may have contaminated off camera, and by extension, just how many people could have fallen ill due to his actions. It is unknown if Feister tested positive for the virus at the time, but it doesn't make him any less disgusting.
Over the weekend, about 15 coworkers and myself had our company trip to the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, known for being Stephen King's inspiration for The Shining. We took an 8 p.m. ghost tour where we joined about 15 other people to get guided around the property and told stories about its history and creepy things that are said to have happened. We were told to take a lot of pictures, I'm sure to try and capture orbs or ghosts. Many green orbs were caught in pictures, but I don't think anything is as creepy as this photo taken by my coworker. A little girl in a hot pink dress who was definitely not on our tour. And apparently, years ago, a young girl who was 12 to 13 by the name of Lucy was squatting in the basement of the concert hall, which is where this photo was taken, and she was discovered upon plans to begin some construction. She was forced to leave, and the night got below freezing, so she froze to death. Everyone on my tour has vouched that this girl was not on our tour. I mean, who wouldn't remember someone wearing hot pink? The man pictured as our tour guide, no one would have been in front of him. I am convinced that this is the ghost of Lucy. Just one more added note, though I doubt anyone would believe me. But there was only one time throughout the tour where I felt any strange energy or feeling. And it was right there, headed down to the basement of the concert hall.
A few weeks ago when I was walking home from school, excited that my freshman year was coming to an end. It was a Tuesday night when I was turning in my last essay for history. I left it to the last minute and the teacher actually made me complete it before I could go home. I hated my teacher for that. Around 8 p.m., I had finished that goddamn essay and was walking home. The rain had stopped and there was a beautiful sunset. Suddenly, I noticed something. There was a red 2016 Toyota Camry right behind me. I got goosebumps thinking it was following me. I didn't look back and started walking in my apartment's direction. I wanted to go to a busy road to feel safer. Just then, the car sped up, stopping right next to me. A middle-aged man asked me where I was headed and suggested to drop me off. I said no thanks, but the man wouldn't leave and insisted. I wanted to tell the man to just fuck off, but I took off running instead. I heard a loud noise and at the same time felt something I can only describe as a sharp vibration hitting my flesh. I fell to the ground not knowing what happened. Out of adrenaline, I was about to get up and run again as I felt a heavy arm grab me by the mouth. Then the pain set in. I realized that I was shot. There was another man next to him that searched my pockets. He grabbed my phone and threw it on the ground as he tied my legs and taped my mouth. They quickly put me into the trunk of their car and then started driving. I could feel that we were going very fast, and I'm sure that we hadn't stopped at all for a good 30 minutes. I was feeling my blood soaking into my shirt, which scared me the most. I was certain that I was going to die. I was thinking about my parents and what they would feel when they heard that I was missing. Then the car came to a stop. By some miracle, I heard a police officer asking for IDs and driver's licenses. I wanted to yell for help, but nothing came out. Just then, I heard 3 to 4 gunshots. I heard another cop yelling, "Man down! Man down! Shots fired!" I was begging the cop to find me. Then I heard the cop searching the car. I was feeling joy as my pain was growing worse. Seconds felt like hours. The officer then opened the car's trunk and suddenly started firing at me out of a fight or flight response. Thankfully, the bullets missed. The officer quickly caught up to the fact that I was kidnapped and injured.
Really? That's what's good in the streets? Oh man, he's tied and bound in this trunk. Well, it's obvious he's one of them, like yesterday.
Called for backup immediately, and it arrived in minutes. They placed the injured officer onto a gurney and drove off in an ambulance. Finally, when the scene was safe, they called another ambulance for me. I woke up in the hospital. The news media was everywhere. I was fine after a few days, but later learned that the officer that was shot didn't make it. I don't know if those men are still alive or rotting away in a prison for killing an officer. I don't want to know what would have happened if those officers hadn't stopped the car.
Well, the moral of this story is, shoot, I don't even know. He gets shot by the kidnappers and by the cops. Gee.